Now before this video starts, it's highly likely that a channel by the name of Quantum TV, the main focus of my video, will try to illegally copyright strike this video via claiming it is not fair use, as he attempted a few days ago. That is total nonsense, and if anyone wants proof of that, the video is enough in and of itself, but I also uploaded 2 hours ago a video proving its fair use with case study research to prove it, along with sightings from the UK government website also proving it. For those of you just watching this video, here's the UK government's website's page regarding fair use, or fair dealing as it's named in the UK, where unsurprisingly, essentially blatantly describes the video as being fair use. So without further delay, I'll let the fun begin. There is a decent amount of things you could legitimately criticize Elden Ring for, whether it be the bad performance across most PCs due to real-time shader compilation issues that cause frame timing stuttering no matter what settings you set the game to, or the terrible settings menus, like I did in my review for the game, where I myself couldn't recommend the game based on the insane amount of performance issues I encountered on a system with an RTX 3070 and a Ryzen 9 5900X. However, the video we will be looking at today doesn't criticize the game for any of that in its majority, but instead goes down the illegitimate criticisms of Souls-like games route, via flat out spreading false information repeatedly about the game, and all round being incredibly misinformed when it comes to Elden Ring, because it's too hard and easy mode. No matter what it is, if a game even remotely challenges someone, you will end up finding people like the guy we'll be looking at today crying about it because God forbid a modern AAA title doesn't baby you through everything. So without further delay, let's get into this insanely bad critique of Elden Ring.
So, today I'll be giving you guys a review of Elden Ring. No spoilers and none of that other nonsense, and we're gonna get straight to the point. Essentially, don't buy this game. That's the easy answer. Now, if you want the long answer, stay until the end and you will find out. Essentially, in a nutshell though, the name of the game should not be called Elden Ring. The name of the game should be called You Died.
Funny, right?
You know what? I genuinely believe we have finally found the peak of comedy. I have never laughed harder at a single joke in my entire life. Jimmy Carr and Dave Chappelle have got absolutely nothing on this man. Comedy will never be the same after hearing that brilliant piece of comedy. But in all seriousness, what the actual fuck did you expect to do when playing a From Software game? A studio notorious for the difficulty of their titles. I refuse to believe you hadn't heard of titles like Dark Souls and Sekiro Shadow Dice twice before buying Elden Ring. Sure, if you were dying in Elden Ring due to bugs and actual issues with the game, then I could understand you complaining about it. However, that isn't the reasoning behind it. Based on what you say later on, you are just bad at the game and refuse to try and get better, wanting the game to baby you instead.
Again and again and again. Because that's all you're really going to spend most of your time doing. You're going to die because the game has no easy difficulty.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
How the hell has my man not seen the shit tons of memes about how easy magic makes this game? If you are lazy and do not want to spend time to get good at this game, then just go fucking make a magic build. It's not rocket science. This is a well-known staple of From Software games. All of them, with the exception of Sekiro, have some form of what you would consider an easy mode, aka magic. You're just not explicitly told it's an easy mode, and I must apologize over the fact you need to figure out how to make the game easier instead of the game babying you through literally every single aspect. If you want a video game which does baby you through every single minute detail, then just go play a PlayStation exclusive or a Gears of War title, not a From Software title, because let's be honest here, that's exactly what you're really complaining about here, and it's mainly due to the fact you have no idea what you're talking about, which you prove relentlessly throughout this video of yours.
And frankly is extremely hard, and Bandai Namco likes to do this a lot in a lot of their games, where they make it just insanely difficult, and the difficulty spikes when you get to certain bosses are just, it's so unfair that you'll find yourself spending so many hours losing time away from your life.
Again, that isn't necessarily true. All you have to do to make bosses easier is a very common trope in all open world games, and it's called go out and explore the map, then come back stronger and at the appropriate level to fight said boss. I have the feeling the boss he's on about here is either Radahn or Margit, since those are the two bosses with major recommended level gaps from the last boss. You aren't meant to go straight to Margit, and this is something I think was a mistake From Software's part, because as soon as I left the opening area I realized a significant amount of people people would frankly be way too stupid to realize you aren't meant to go and find him straight away. Radahn has the same quote-unquote issue, as I beat the previous boss at level 55. However, if you simply do basic research, aka one Google search, you'll realize enemies do have recommended levels, and so do areas of the map. They are merely just hidden to increase difficulty, and Radahn, for example, should be fought around level 70 to level 80. So the main issue you're having here isn't a problem with the game, but again a problem with you.
So I would say this game is for somebody who really is looking for a sandbox. They have no family, no friends, no life, and they have literally thousands of hours to grind away on a game to level up enough so that they don't end up losing.
I can straight up taste the salt pouring through my screen listening to this guy mold over a game requiring him to literally just get good. All it requires is the exact same thing as every open world game. Go out and explore before trying to take on a difficult boss. It obviously doesn't take thousands of hours to beat the game. That would be more than multiple playthroughs, my guy. I mean, holy shit, wait until this guy finds out another amazing feature in the game that makes it significantly easier. Co-op. Like, holy shit. It's almost like having a magic build and playing with friends would give you an easy mode. Now think about that for a second. The guy so salty over dying in a video game where it's designed for you to die a lot is telling people who play it they have no life or friends, when the second main reason he's struggling is because he isn't playing with friends.
Because I tell you one thing about this game that's not really a spoiler, but something you should know. When you die, you lose everything you collected. Everything. That means you start over, so leveling up is extremely hard because of the nature of the game and its difficulty level, and it's not fun. There is nothing fun about this game for somebody who is new to the franchise.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
As someone who myself is essentially brand new to the Souls franchise via Elden Ring, outside of playing a Souls game once or twice for very short increments, I can tell you right now you're flat out wrong. I fucking love Elden Ring, and making blanket statements like you just did is beyond delusional. Not only that everything you just said was quite literally factually incorrect, you do not lose everything when you die. What does happen is you only drop your runes, the item used for leveling up, which then can be picked up at the location you died upon respawn. You also do not drop anything else when you die. No weapons are dropped, no armor is dropped, no materials are dropped, nothing is dropped apart from the runes, and they only disappear if you die again before picking them up, something that I've found is very hard to do. It is harder to not pick up runes before dying again even in a boss arena than dying to the boss, but as per usual with this video in particular, it's filled with what can only be determined as factually incorrect information.
I think if you're somebody who played something like Dark Souls before, you probably would like it, but if you're somebody new, the menu is cluttered. It's really hard to read, and it's not user interface friendly. And then the controls, and then all of this is just clunky. The whole game feels like a clunker, right?
I'm going to now ask you to do something so insanely difficult a Navy SEAL couldn't even do it. If you do not like the default controls, open your fucking settings and change them. There is both full key binding customization for controller plus keyboard and mouse in this game. The only reason for you to not like the controls is because you didn't make them how you wanted them. Also, the menus outside of the settings for PC are perfectly fine. In fact, they're better than perfectly fine. Since they are not at all cluttered like you are wrongfully claiming, they are all segmented into various categories so people like you can easily find what you're actually looking for. And not only that, the UI is entirely simple to grasp, especially in comparison to other over-cluttered titles like every single open world Ubisoft game.
And then you look at the graphic style. It's a joke. It is literally a joke. It is like last gen being sold for new gen.
It's almost like the last thing that matters in a Souls-like is how pretty the grass is. Elden Ring has without failure outclassed most AAA titles released recently in terms of how beautiful it is. Sure, it doesn't have peach fuzz rendering like Horizon Forbidden West, which I'm sure you love since it is an incredibly easy game, but it has infinitely better art style. Graphics do not matter in the vast majority of titles. Elden Ring is the perfect case in point of that. Its art style and gameplay carry it higher than the 4K truth textures ever could in Forbidden West.
And Digital Foundry did a full breakdown kind of confirming everything I already knew playing the game, and most of us already knew playing the game, that the game's frame rates are trash. Like, you pay so much money for these consoles, these next-gen consoles, just to get scammed. I mean, who here is sick and tired of 4K 30? I know I am. We could have kept PS4 Pro and Xbox Series S for that.
Neither the PS4 Pro nor Xbox One X are actually capable of 4K 30 FPS in even most last-gen games. The PS5, for example, is not powerful enough to run most AAA games at 4K 60 FPS. It is equivalent to around a 2060, and the Series X is around equivalent to in between a 2060 and 2070. Neither of those cards are capable of 4K 60 FPS in most AAA games. If you are expecting Elden Ring to run at 4K 60 FPS, you are flat out a fucking moron. Even though it doesn't necessarily have the most impressive graphics, and even without the real-time shader compilation issues regarding frame time stuttering, consoles would struggle to maintain 60 FPS at 4K. This idea a hell of a lot of console players have that the current gen systems are capable of native 4K at 60 FPS for games like Elden Ring and especially other open world games like Dying Light 2 is one made up from nothing but pure delusion. Like, how are you gonna bring up Digital Foundry's video and the main takeaway you have is that the game's bad because it runs at 4K 60 FPS? Not bringing up the issues regarding frame time stuttering, but just complaining that a system frankly incapable of 4K 60 FPS in most open world games like Elden Ring doesn't run at a frame rate and resolution it cannot sustain. That is not at all a legitimate critique. A legitimate critique would be talking about the frame stuttering, which you barely do and not to a remotely decent extent since you clearly do not understand the reasoning behind it and have no idea what you're talking about.
Especially with a 1440p resolution and things that go lower. We're not getting the top tier graphics. And they're not even trying to utilize the system.
These developers are coming out with these games and they're just slapping PS5 and Xbox Series X on the box without ever even attempting to tap into the power. And again, without any requirement to do so, to call themselves a multi-plat for that system, it's just the same thing. And what's even worse, the most egregious crime, is that even on PC, this game runs poorly.
Although I personally don't recommend people buy this on PC myself if they don't have a powerful system, it does not run as poorly as you describe outside of the opening area. It is primarily in the opening area where frame time stuttering is a major problem, and this is something when making my review I hadn't realized yet, and so didn't mention it in that. Outside of the odd frame drops here and there, I haven't experienced huge problems. The weird part about Elden Ring is the fact that the real-time shader compilation issues mainly affect the opening area, and actually become less of an issue the further you get through the game, something that may have been caused by From Software prioritizing trying to optimize the more demanding parts of the game for launch and leaving the opening area in the state it is. On consoles, the frame rate tends to remain above 50 FPS at the very least, which is more than fine. However, if you're like me and can notice that drop, run the PS4 version on PS5 and turn on variable refresh rate for the Xbox Series X to get a stable 60 FPS on current gen systems. What you were talking about in regards to the console ports are things which have an easy fix to use whilst we wait for From Software to correct the real-time shader compilation related frame time stuttering, at least if you're not on PC. There currently isn't a fix for the PC version.
Only way that you can get this game to look really good, as Digital Foundry so gently pointed out, was using PS4, I'll say that again, PS4 on the PS5. Why would I do that?
To solve the issues you're crying about for the time being whilst you wait for a patch, which will fix said issue. The fact I had to explain something so simple to you would be surprising if I hadn't watched the previous parts of the video and knew your history on YouTube. The PS5 version also doesn't often drop below 50 FPS, so again it isn't a major issue on consoles. On PC however it definitely is, and I can agree with you in regards to that specifically, and only that specifically.
Like, I don't understand, like, who they made this game for, where, like, you want low frame rates, but that for me, that's a massive deal breaker. I'm a massive motion buff, and to do something like that is unacceptable.
Then you take into consideration the fact that, again, most of your time in the open world is spent just, like, running around kind of aimlessly, if I'm being honest. It's one of those games where, like, it's so spread out, the map is so big, you're gonna spend a lot of time running around.
So, like every single open world game ever made, if you don't like open world games, and you don't like Souls-esque titles, then why the fuck did you buy Elden Ring? Obviously you wouldn't like it. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. At this point you're again not only flat out lying about the open world, but also just complaining that an open world game acts like an open world game when it comes to the fact it wants you to explore the open world. The opening area of the game, aka Limegrave, in it of itself has 35 bosses. Saying you spend most of your time traveling is beyond disingenuous. At most, you spend like 5 to 10 minutes going around each area of the map and unlocking all the sides of grace, which you use to fast travel. Outside of that, the map is littered with dungeons, hence the opening area having 35 boss fights. This is an incredibly content-rich game, and to claim otherwise is just straight up lying to your audience.
I guess the initial point of this video is to say that, like, unless you are somebody who wants a severe challenge, I mean, you're the kind of person you like dying 500 times in a row, and you like restarting and literally losing everything and going back to a save point, starting from scratch.
Again, that is not what fucking happens when you die. The levels of misinformation throughout your video here is flat out so ridiculous to the point I'm having to question if you ever played the game or not. It directly marks the location on the map where you previously died, so that you can pick up the runes you dropped. And once again, you only drop the amount of runes you have on your person when you die. You do not, as you claim, lose everything.
If you like that kind of thing, Elden Ring is your game. If you don't like dying again and again and again and again and again, don't buy this game. If you get frustrated very easily, or you come home from work and you're just trying to unwind and relax, this is not a game for you.
No shit.
What else were you exactly expecting from a studio that literally only makes the exact type of game you are describing? And once again, these strange blanket statements are so idiotic, it's truly unbelievable. I personally can relax whilst playing Elden Ring. Wanna know why? Because I'm not a man-child who gets upset over dying in a video game where death is a common occurrence. Because I chose to play a quote-unquote difficult game.
Again, I couldn't speak lowly enough about this game. I don't recommend it, and I think if you're smart, you'll just play something else. That's the review. Take it or leave it.
I mean, when it comes to who should be talking about people's intelligence here, I love to be the one to tell you this, but it sure as hell shouldn't be someone who has consistently gotten that information inside that fully edited video factually incorrect. Now, I think it's safe to say that has to be single-handedly the worst video we've taken a look at on this channel in a very long time, and I'll probably look at its second part of the video live sometime this week, although don't expect a response to that in video format, as I can't be asked to lose any more brain cells. But thankfully, we have finally come to the end of that video, which means we have also come to the end of my video. So with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord server, my Twitter, as well as like, comment and subscribe. So I will see you all in the next video.